What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What it do, what it is, what's happening, what the business be, what up, though? It's your guy, Nate Bennett, with another phenomenal episode of the Extraordinary Exchange Podcast, brought to you by the Extraordinary Investment Group. We're 12 black men doing what we can in the community to positively affect our community through education and smart financial strategies. I got my co-host with the most, the CEO himself. Case, what's going on with you, fam?
What's happening, folks? What's happening? Finally back in the seat, man. It's been a long time. I've probably been here for like a day and I'm out again. You feel me? That's what I do, man. But y'all, I'm happy to be back, man. We got a wonderful guest today to tell an awesome story in an area that most of us men can probably get better at. You know what I'm saying? An area that most of us men can probably get better at. And it'll be interesting to see how we can add some levels to the game, So let's first and foremost introduce our guest, Miss Alexes Hagans, and let's tell us a little about yourself.
Well, again, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be on your podcast. I'm super excited about what our conversation, will end up at. I'm sure you guys have a lot of information to share and that can help with my business and vice versa. So to start off, I was raised in a florist. My dad had a florist many years before me. He was born, just to give you a little bit of a time frame, he was born in 1924. He had me late in age. So he was, if not 60, when I was born. And so early on in his years, he started off as a delivery driver for a florist called Colony Florist, which is also uptown on Georgia Avenue. And then he started liking flowers, learning how to make arrangements, and became really good at it. So he was like the lead designer. And the owner of the florist got sick, and the family decided, hey, it's time to sell. We're prominent in real estate, so we don't want to take over the florist. So they tried to find someone to sell the florist to and could not. They even offered to sell it to my dad, and my dad was like, hey, I can't afford it. And so long story short, they gave him the florist for no money down. So he inherited Colony Florist. And he kept that florist for maybe another 20 or 30 years. And when I turned 9 years old, he relocated. So he moved from Georgia Avenue to Upshur Street, which is the street that my florist is currently on. And he changed the name from Colony Florist to Flowers by Alexis. And we stayed there until I was about 21, 22, my early 20s. And he got sick. And so my family decided, hey, it's time let's close the florist. He's sick. And I was just so emotionally invested in the florist that I didn't want to see it closed. So I turned everything, the license over in my name, the certificate of occupancy, everything in my name, did what I did. I was working a full-time job and would come to the florist and taking my paycheck and buying flowers for like Valentine's Day. And my father would make the arrangement and send them to the florist so I could sell them. But I just didn't have the capacity to keep it open. I didn't have the financial resources and none of the support from my family who would help me. So eventually I closed the florist. And almost 2 decades later, the opportunity came. And just to back up a little bit, I didn't know I knew how to make arrangements. Only thing my father taught me to do was to deal with the customers, ring them up, and clean roses. But he never sat me down and said, this is how you make arrangement. This is some of the supplies that you use, any of those things. I stumbled across that craft. And when I realized that, the opportunity presented itself, and I did. And one thing I remember is that, and I'm very spiritual. So life and death is in the power of the tongue, and you be careful what you say, because I promised my dad, and I used to say it all the time, I'm going to reopen the florist. And I promised my dad before he died or passed away, I'm going to reopen the florist. I just don't know when or where, but at some point I'm going to do it. And I did it. And here I am today. I've been open going on 4 years now.
That's what's up, man. I'm going to give you an ovation for that, because that story in itself is inspirational, right? Like the one, finding the passion that you don't know that you had, and then making it something. right? Or going
Yeah.
through the hardship, the struggle, the doubts, the the roller coaster of life per se. Um, but just finding that passion and finding the hidden talent, and that's what it's all about, because we never know what's inside of us till we actually find it. Like
Yeah.
that's super dope.
Thank you. Thank you. And I didn't realize the depth or like how meaningful that story was. You know what I mean? Until I opened the florist, or when I was in the transition of opening the florist, and I made one simple post on social media about the story that I just shared in a picture of my dad. And that one post took me there. Like
Right.
that's when, media started to reach out and newspaper articles, and I just did not have a clue that that story meant as much as it did. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
Living in it, because people used to say, even as a child, she has a business named after her. How does it feel? And it was no big thing. Like, okay, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like, all
Right.
right. Didn't realize the meaning of that.
Mhm.
But now that I look back on it, was like, dang, that's what's up.
It was the seed. It
That's
was the seed that we ain't real, didn't realize that was getting put in the ground, and then that seed grew, and that's amazing.
yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to Mr. Bernard, Mr. Hagans. May
Thank
he rest in peace. But like you said, for lack of a better term, pun intended, for planting that seed in you, and you hear like this family legacy style business is beautiful because you see some people that get indoctrinated, some kids that get indoctrinated into that, and they're forced to take on a business, something they really don't want to do. Was
hmm
there ever pressure by your father for you to kind of pick up the torch and keep it going, or was that just kind of like something that you were just around, and then you genuinely came into it, like you said?
So that is a really, really good question. And the reason why I say that is because pressure, absolutely yes. I
Mm,
didn't have a choice.
mm,
And I remember because I have siblings who were much older, there was a big gap. And I
mm,
remember my dad, especially on the 4th of July, he always had a fireworks stand, or Valentine's Day, or like the big holidays for florists. We didn't have a choice. We had to be there to help,
Mhm.
right? I learned to count my money from being in the florist on days like that. And my father wouldn't allow me to use calculators. And
uh,
remember, I was the one that was helping the people, getting the money, giving the change. So I had to learn how to count my quarters and pennies and stuff.
Mhm.
And it would be times that I couldn't go outside. I would see my friends from the neighborhood riding a bike past the window. I couldn't go. I used to have to stay right there
Yeah.
until my work was done. Some days I could go, some days I couldn't. But yeah, it was a lot of pressure. Now, he never had that conversation where it was, oh, you're going to have this at some point. No, this is going to be yours. And so you have to do X, Y, and Z. And it always leaves me with the question, like if I was to ever to have the opportunity to have a conversation with my dad right now, the question would be, did you know, like, was it just, oh, this is my baby girl and I'm gonna just change the name to Flowers by Alexis, or this is a legacy that I want to leave Alexis, or I see something in her. I see the entrepreneurship in her. And this is my intentions as to why I always have her with me, or why I'm always taking her with me to the wholesalers. You know what I mean? Like, it's a difference from a dad wanting his daughter with him all the time because
Mhm.
I was his baby girl. But was there an intention of, oh, I'm planting this entrepreneurship seed at the same time? Or, that's my question to him. It's like, did you know?
Mhm.
Because everything that I've done growing up at the time that he was living, I didn't realize that it was an entrepreneur. Now that I look back at it like, dang, I really did have like a hustling spirit,
You
right?
see, you see
And
the
every time I had those opportunities, my dad would be right there.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, well, maybe he sat back and was like, yeah, I see it in her. I know this is what
Mhm.
it's going to be for her. Or is it just was I just had her around me and I didn't even realize I was planting a seed.
Mhm.
So that would have been my question to him. And I have a lot of family members and friends who are on the outside looking in, and they're like, no, he definitely knew. because we can see it in you. So he definitely saw something in you.
Mm-hmm. That's
And
real.
lastly, just to give you an example, is that I'll never forget. I had my first fireworks stand. You know, he had gotten old enough. He was older, and he didn't get it this one year. And I was like, "What? You're not getting a fireworks stand? All right, bet I'm gonna get it." And I went downtown on my own, spent my own money, got the firework license, got all the paperwork, came back to him, was like, "Let's go. I got it. Tell me what I need to do." And he went and had somebody build my stand for me. And every day on that 4th of July, I mean, the days leading
Mm-hmm.
up,
Yeah.
he was right there. He was
Mm-hmm.
right with me. After it was over with, he helped me get it packed down. We counted our money together. He invested some of his money into the fireworks stand. Um, I remember working at the recreation center right behind my father's shop was a recreation center. So during high school, I worked there and I taught children how to make ceramic pieces. And my boss wouldn't let me take my ceramic pieces home until the end of the program. And anybody else would have keep them for keepsake, because they made them. I was like, shoot, I'm selling this. So I sure did. I set up a table in my front yard and I did a yard sale because that's what our neighbors were doing on Saturdays. They had yard sales. So I said, I'm going to have one.
All right.
He was the only one in my family that sat there with me
Wow.
from the beginning of that yard sale to the end. He was there to support me. So everyone is like, oh no, he definitely.
He planted the seed, and when you was telling that story, I was like, man, I know when you came home with that paper, if you close your eyes, you remember the biggest smile that you ever saw, like the excite. Just as a father, right? Like the excitement of knowing that my child, something that I've tried to instill, that my child has gotten it, right?
Mhm.
Without me even having to say it, like there's such a peace and happiness in that. Like that's man. I'm just gonna consider dope because that's the only.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
Thank you.
And it's a testament to kids don't listen and do what you say. You
Hmm.
mimic what they see, right?
Yeah.
And you were right there with them the whole time. So even though, like you said, verbally, he wasn't saying, "Hey," he didn't have a conversation with you saying, X, Y, and Z. This is what I desire for you. You saw it. So when he didn't have that fireworks there, you were like, "Oh nah, this is what we do.
We
Not
didn't
just
see
what
what
you do.
else.
This is what we do."
Yeah.
Right? And you went ahead and got to it. So it's so powerful, and I want to salute my brothers in E.I.G because a lot of what we do, we have our kids right there with us. I'm still blowing my daughter around the corner. She was supposed to help me on a interview one time. She got her
Okay.
questions together, and then she like chickened out. Yeah, she was like, "I don't want to do it. I'm too shy." But like they see what we doing on a day-to-day basis. She see me set all this stuff up for a podcast, and I'm not
Hmm.
surprised she got her own YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They see us in the community doing philanthropic stuff. They see us coaching sports. So as
Yeah.
they get older, they're gonna know what community really looks like. So
Yeah.
shout out to
Absolutely.
your father, man, for
Thank
making
you.
that happen. So
And I
um
have to give some kudos to my mom too. I hate, I don't like to leave her out because the business, the first flowers by Alexis and Colony Florist wouldn't have been what it is without my mom supporting my dad in the capacity that she did. So, I talk a lot about my dad and the legacy, but my mother also played a big part in that. And I always like to acknowledge her as well too.
That's real. That's real.
absolutely,
The power of the
absolutely.
woman. The power of the woman and being that battery. Man, we'll run through walls when that battery charged up. You know what I mean?
We was literally just talking about this earlier, dog.
Right. Right.
Literally.
And you said that like there was a period of time between uh, when the original business closed and then you opened up, uh, you reopened Flowers by Alexis. Like in that time, what was your life like? What were you doing?
Hustling. Trying to make a dollar for me and my children. I was a single mom. And I remember growing up, my father always used to have this one saying, God bless a child that has his own, right? And we never question our parents. They only do what they know to be best. And my father was a provider, yes. He loved me as he should, yes. But I think sometimes he instilled a little bit too much independence in me because definitely that's where my mind was is I got to take care of mine. If no one else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I worked as much as I could to provide and be there for my children. Um, and I had different careers. So, I worked for Walter Reed for over 10 years, brought from DC to Maryland. And then I moved on from there and I did a lot of community work, right? So, I helped DC residents with mental health issues, just have a better quality of life, which I really believe those two careers kept me humble. I've been in the shelters, I've been in the jails, I've been all of these different places, and it really keeps me humble. In Walter Reed, I have to say I'm successful in the things that I do, especially with my time. I, I be at work working for myself. I'm there at 6 or 7 when I don't really have to. But that comes from at Walter Reed, a saying is if you early, you late. You got to be on time. So, the intensive training about the quality of care. We did a lot of training on providing good quality of care and customer service. So as I was, servicing the colonels and the generals and the lieutenants at Walter Reed, and you better not slip up on that phone with them. I treat my customers that call Flowers by Alexis or walk in there the exact same way, right? And that has helped me to be really successful. And so from there, I decided, you know what, I have a son who's on the spectrum. I need a little bit more flexibility, and got into real estate. So got my real estate license. And during COVID, a lot of things shut down, but the real estate market was booming. So, I went through that process, and it was through real estate that I found the opportunity to open up Flowers by Alexis. And it was because of my commissions that helped me, that fund the business to open it up. So
That's real. That's dope. I know a lot of times with our group, one of the things we teach is using your 9 to 5 to fund the life you want, right? Like
yes,
that's making those smart investments. That's finding those commission-based jobs where you can get a good commission check. Basically, finding money to put into yourself, man. So again, like that, just the hustle, the grind, and we heard about it from when you were young, and just being around the business, and just how that was instilled in you, and how do you keep that moving is inspirational.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
it.
now I'm at the mindset whereas though, when we say CEO, it's a difference from being an actual business owner, right? So, I've noticed that my children, my youngest are 12, my other two are grown, but when you work hard, you spend a lot of time away from the home or, away from your family. And I don't want that to be the case, especially at such a very important age. And so now my mindset as a CEO is where do I take my business and how do I put things in place so the business runs itself? So now I can go and spend more time with my
Good time. Yeah.
family. So that's where I've transitioned to this year is now putting people in place. That's why I have my assistant. She, answers my phone. She does my schedule, answer my emails. Um, and then I have a designer who makes the flowers. And so if I'm at the florist, it's only just to make sure that things are running the way they need to, but I don't have to be there.
That's what's up. What's up? So and let me ask this question real quick. What makes a good bouquet? What makes a good arrangement?
Well, there are different parts to it, right? So let me just say that I'm so grateful for individuals who support small businesses first, because that just means a lot. But also, I feel like when you support small businesses or buy a bouquet from a small business like mine, you get that intimate customization, right? Opposed to if you just walk into a Safeway or Costco or other stores and
Mhm,
it's something that's just put together and that's
mhm,
it.
mhm,
So what makes the bouquets when you come in Flowers by Alexis is that you get it customized. You get, something that all my bouquets that we do are not exactly the same. Right. So if I put something together, the next person is not going to get the exact same bouquet that I get. But there are three components to a bouquet or any arrangement, right? So there is a main flower, which let's just say a rose, because everyone knows a rose, or a hydrangea. And then you have your filler flowers, which will be something like a ultramarine, baby's breath, right? And then you have your greenery. And so you would mainly make an arrangement with those three components. And, when you say customize, I get a lot of men that come in and they don't know how, no shade, but they're like, I don't know what to do. All I
Mhm.
know is I want to take my person some flowers.
Mhm.
Can you help me? And I always try to tell people that whoever you buy flowers for is going to appreciate it even more because you personally picked out the flowers and the color. So where do you start? Does the person have a favorite color? You know, or what two colors do you like that look good together? Maybe reds and orange. So let's just pick up, don't worry about the flowers. Let's pick up the colors and put them together that way. And then you'll, create from that way.
Right. Free game, gentlemen. Free game, gentlemen. Like,
or
Anything
or
more, you
or,
got to pay for
or
the
just
class.
or just ask her, or just ask him or her, ask them, do you like flowers? And if so, what's your favorite flower?
What's your favorite flower?
mhm. There you go.
Exactly.
There you
Exactly.
go. There you
And
go.
and as someone who has patronized the shop, I went in there. There were no pre-made bouquets in there, and I didn't realize that until you just said something. There were no pre-made bouquets for you to just pick up and like walk out the door. If I'm not mistaken, everything was like individualized, and like you said, you customize it, you pick it. I forgot your girl that was over there that helped. She wrapped it up, made it look real nice, put the bow around it.
Yeah.
It's top
Thank
notch
you.
service.
Now
And
we
customer
do have
service
some
is not
pre-made
dead.
though.
Customer service is not dead. We talk about it all the time. Us as the
They,
OGs now, we so frustrated with the younger generation because they on their phone and they don't focus on that customer service. And I want to say
yeah.
maybe it was that time you had at Walter Reed, or maybe it was you being in the community and knowing what the word service means is why your shop runs the way it is and why you're having that success. So kudos to you.
Thank you so much. And we do have, don't get me wrong, we do have pre-made bouquets because I do get a lot of people, especially on the way home or on the way to work, and just
Mm.
don't have that time to like, pick and choose. So we do have that for that option when you can just pick up and go. But for the most part, like you said, is you come in and you get your stuff customized.
So we're hearing about all the successes. We're hearing about how you shut down for a little bit and then open back up a few decades later. What are some of the, if you don't mind sharing and being transparent and a little vulnerable, what are some of the kind of setbacks that you had and what did you learn from those setbacks?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say setbacks. I would say challenges and learning moments because again, growing up in the florist, my dad didn't teach me about the back office, right? He
Mm.
didn't teach me about the importance of business taxes, sales and use tax, having a business checking account opposed to a personal check. Like that whole thing, I literally had to learn myself. Even down to finding out what's a good point of sale machine, what's a good invoicing. Like every day was a learning opportunity for me. And sometimes we don't pick the correct thing, right? Sometimes we make mistakes, but we learn from 'em. So everything that I know now administratively has come from me doing my research or taking classes. That part wasn't taught to me.
Mhm.
And so again, they're learning curves. I do have challenges, right? Because again, I never went to school for making arrangements, and I'll never forget the first. I didn't even expect that I was going to be doing corporate events. I didn't when I decided to open the florist. I thought I was just going to pick up the baton and service the people in the neighborhood that walk in and just need flowers, like I remember seeing in my dad, or maybe a small funeral arrangement.
Mhm.
Never did I imagine that I would service celebrities, politicians, and have huge corporate events. And I remember the first corporate event, I got an email and I told my mom about it. And I was like, Mom, I don't think I can do this. Like, look at all of these arrangements they want, and look at how they asking for it. And, it was like a 10-page palette. My mother looked at me and was like, you can do it. Like, no, you can do it. You better not turn that away. You can do it. Utilize your resource, go to your mentor, but don't turn it away. And it was the best advice that I could have take, because now I don't turn away any corporate events. If
Mhm.
I did that one, I could do it. So
Mhm.
I have challenges because there's a lot that I still don't know. And again, when you have challenges and you don't know, it's a setback, but you learn from them and then you just move forward.
Move forward from that.
Hmm.
It's a little speed bump.
Yeah, that's it.
You spoke right to it. You didn't know what you didn't know. You didn't know you have a group of 12 black men that have one of the best services and point of sales businesses in the land. So, we can definitely hook you up with that. And no offense to what you got right now. It was very convenient when we was over there, but
Okay.
you know better, you do better.
Anything that's gonna help me save $1.
Yeah. Oh, it will.
All
That
right.
that that alone.
A few of them. That's our goal, man. But everything is about, especially in our community,
Absolutely.
is about putting that dollar back, that black dollar back into the community. Um, like that's one of our main tenets. If we don't, if we go back to, you say your father was born in the 20s, but if we go, we go back around that time when black communities were black communities, we kept our dollar in a community. So that's a wonderful thing. And going segueing from that, your shop. You said that one of the things that you did when you weren't owning the business at the time was be in the community.
Yes.
What kind of events, like what kind of community events does Flowers by Alexis host or do for the community? What kind of community
Events
outreach
we
do
do.
you guys do? Yeah.
Oh, we've done so many community events. I collaborate with events from, the neighborhood where my business is, but I also do a lot of events on my own. And one of the main things that I do is I allow other small businesses to come and vend for free outside of my shop on Saturdays. We have a market that draws a lot of walk-in traffic on Saturdays. And I give the small businesses the opportunity to come and showcase their products and vend, and I don't charge any money for it because here's my thinking. Um, I opened this business. I, got the opportunity to open up back on the same street that I grew up. I could have opened up anywhere in the city. So, whatever reason God was to have me open back up there, what do I do with that? And I was blessed to be able to gain a large platform in such a short time that I'm sharing that with businesses who put just as much energy into their product, but they just don't have the opportunity to get their stuff out there or grow the platform that I did. And I'm not a gatekeeper. I believe that we're better together than we are apart. And so if I can share that with anyone that I can, that's what I do. Another thing that I do is I host like different, I amplify my corner. So you saw my store is a cornerstone.
Okay.
And so I amplify the corner. I bring the music out, on Saturdays. I play, my go-go music, whatever I feel like, jazz, go-go music, Afrocentric. I play that outside. Sometimes I take out a grill and we might sell hot dogs or give out free waters. We give out pet treats. I'm just all about reuniting with that community, but just helping those who I can. So there are individuals who might be that hang out in the bus stop during the day. I'll pay them to clean up my trash or pick up the street, the trash in the streets, or give community service to the young boys who need community service. So I do a lot, within the community. We actually, and this is a shameless plug, but we're participating in Art All Night on Saturday. I mean, on Friday coming up. And I would love for you guys to come through, but we're doing like a whole outside night cookout, and we are going to offer to the community free candle making workshops, free calligraphy workshops, free adult coloring and family coloring workshops. We'll have food, a DJ will be out there. I have a popcorn machine, sidewalk chalk for the kids. So it's a big I do a big thing. I love doing it because not only, of course, I'm making money, but it just feels so like home. My family and friends just come and we're just there. So, it's just providing a safe space for people to come, not only to buy flowers, but somewhere that they can just be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up that my father's florist was the same way. He always had people come and stop in and visit and chill out and socialize and all of those things. He was just really known amongst people and the people of the community. So,
That's dope.
Literally being a cornerstone in the community on the corner, because the whole block, you got amazing partnerships with everybody there. It's a dope neighborhood already. If y'all familiar with the Petworth area and how that is changed over the years. I've worked in that community for like 20 years now, and just seeing how things have changed um,
yeah, drastically.
drastically, and it's a flourishing community,
It
and
is.
are building, helping to build that community and that collection and that connectiveness together.
Yeah.
Salute.
It does still need a lot of work. I'm a person of change, and that was something that I learned at Walter Reed when we brat is that,
Mm-hmm.
we had to embrace change because the culture wasn't the same from Walter Reed in DC. And change is uncomfortable. Change is not comfortable, and we had to embrace that. And so I embraced the change in the neighborhood because growing up it was totally different, but I feel like it's needed. The only time I feel like there's an issue, especially with gentrification, is when our community is being pushed out, right?
Right.
So if there is change, like we have the different assorted type of restaurants and the different businesses in which we needed that. We need that. You know what I mean? But it becomes a problem, I feel like, when my community is, or if the community is being pushed out. And so I'm not saying that the community is being pushed out, but there is a lot of work. So I say that to say that's more of the reason that when I do amplify my corner, I speak to everyone, whether they speak to me or not.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking, the pets make them come and speak because I give out the treats.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to buy flowers from me, but I'm going to speak to you and I'm going to show you that, this is who I am. This is what my business is. We shine a light on this street.
Mm-hmm.
And, until we get to that point, I'm just going to continue to be that bridge,
Mm-hmm.
to try to make that connection.
And a strong community is key. Like a strong community, like you might have neighbors you don't like, but they still look out for each other. And you, like you said, somewhere where some people would push those type of people away. Get away from my store. Get away from my store. You found a way to repurpose their energy, right,
Mhm.
and use it positively, and that works in their soul. You know what I'm saying? They could be going to do all, but hey, man, I might just go back to the block, man. That lady paying us, man, just to clean the trash. But they're not doing no business. So hats off to you.
Thank you.
I mean, and because of that, I mean, also being a great entrepreneur, having a great product, being part of the community. In 2024, you earned the DC Chambers Retailer of the Year award. Talk about that and how, you know, that not just the notoriety, but then the recognition from your peers in the community, how impactful that was, and kind of put just validated all the
Yeah.
work you're doing, right?
Um, Again, like I said, when I said I was going to open up the florist and I did it, I never expected it to be like this.
Hmm.
And which I'm grateful, but my mind didn't even see that. You know what I mean? And so because I never forget that when I accepted the award, I got really emotional because, again, my mind didn't see it. But I worked hard. I feel like I deserved it. I worked really hard, but it was just like, dang, man, like, wow. People recognize the hard work that I'm putting into my business, and people recognize, you know, what we do and what we stand for. And, it felt really, really good in that moment. I know, that my mom and my dad was really proud. But it also lit fire under me to say, oh, it's time to turn it up and go to another level. It's go mode. You know what I'm saying? So when I got the award, it was like, okay, Alexis, now you've gotten to hear Now, what are some things that we're gonna put in place? What are it, it helped me to establish new goals for my business. You
Mm.
know what I mean? In a different light. And so when I started establishing new goals for my business, it was like, dang, now I got to turn it up. I got the retailer of the year award. What can we do now?
What's
How can
next?
we get up to the next level
Mhm.
and to the next level? So it was such a really good feeling to say, like, dang, my business was what, 2 years old? No, it was three, going on 3 years old when I got that award. And it was like, dang, some businesses don't even get recognized until 10 years in, until 5 years in, and with the strides that I made in just this little bit of time, and I'm forever grateful. Like I said, my mind couldn't even wrap around that I would have celebrities walking in the door and I'm servicing them and I didn't even know who they are until after I've serviced them, or
Mhm.
politicians. And it's like, wow. So Flowers by Alexis is really being noticed and recognized, and I'm just so grateful for that.
Hey, you said moving to the next level. How do you see? What do you see in the future for Flowers by Alexis?
I see expansion. I see more than one locations. I see that there could be an opportunity for franchising, right? One of the goals that I did set for myself in the beginning is that I wanted to open a location for each one of my children so that I can have something to leave to them. And even if they don't want to be a florist, they can pay someone to run the business for them to keep that income coming in for them. And so that's one of my goals, is to be able to open up four locations. But now four has probably gone to 40 because I see multi-millions for the business. But you have to crawl before you walk, and God is doing a good work within me.
Mm.
I think He has me at the right pace so that I can learn the things that need to happen in the business and prepare me for greater, right? Especially when it comes to my mindset. My mindset has done a whole 360 from the time that I first started. So, whereas though I saw Flowers by Alexis as a multi-million dollar business and I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z, now I see myself strategically doing things with multi-millions in a different light, right? And, just letting God use me, because I believe that there's greater for my business. And so, the first step is just opening up locations, hopefully, God willing, owning, properties, owning those locations, and continuing to service the community, maybe in a bigger platform or bigger, capacity. That's what it is, in a bigger capacity. And so, yeah, that's what I see for Flowers by Alexis.
What's up? I see it for you. I see it
Thank,
for you. Like
thank you.
I just purpose driven. That's the word. That's what come to me. Purpose driven, and that's just an amazing thing. So yeah, I see it for you. Yeah.
And then let me just say that entrepreneurship, or being a full-time entrepreneur, is a humbling experience. I would, if I could tell anybody, like any advice, it would be, you can't do it by yourself. Like, if you want a expanding business, you need a team, right? And you need God. There's no way that I am where I am without having God, or putting a team in place to help me. And I think a lot of times when entrepreneurs first start out, it's like, no, I can do it. I got it. I can do this and that. But if you see your business expanding, you got to let that eye go,
Mhm.
right? And so that's where I am as well too. Is, I just let God use me for how He will use me. And even though Flowers by Alexis is a florist, there's still a greater purpose, right? What other purpose are we here for? And that's where my mindset is.
To serve. It goes back to that
Yes.
service like you were talking about. And you
Yeah.
you you alluded to it just now. If you can give someone advice, I'm all about representation. You are a black woman in a community serving everyone. Um, let's say high schooler, someone just about to graduate high school and hears this interview, sees what you're doing with your thing, kind of likes flowers and wants to do exactly what you would do. How would you if you can give them like a quick step by step, like, hey, do this, do this, do this, then you can have your own shop to do what I'm doing. You talked about building a team, you talk about being community focused and focusing on service and having systems and processes. But like, if you give them just a quick, like, boom, 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 what would
What
you
would
tell
you-
them to do to get their own shop in their own neighborhood?
I would first tell them to get a mentor,
Mm,
someone who, even if they not a florist, but someone who owns a business, who have made mistakes, who have learned from their mistakes, who is very successful, someone who can hold you accountable or hold your hand and show you, the things that you need to do. It's really good to have a mentor. I would say do your research, because that's what I had to do. I had to do research before AI was even a thing. I had to do my own research. So strategically plan, because when I jumped into this, I didn't strategically plan this. I stepped out on faith, which I'm not telling people not to step out on faith, but it would be a little more easier and less challenging if you strategically plan out your business and do research. And again, yeah, and also get a mentor, and also keep God first. You have to put God first and let him lead you. You know, so that you can be successful. But if I could tell anybody those things, and I wouldn't be the person to say, quit your job and jump into it. No, you have to do what's best for you
Yeah.
and what makes sense to you, because not everyone can quit their job and jump into it. I leaped out on faith. I'm not saying that's a bad decision, because look where I am now. But there were a lot of sleepless nights. It's not going to be easy. You're going to have sleepless nights. You're going to say a lot of prayers. I said a lot of prayers. I'm still praying. I'm still fasting. I'm still doing these things. But would I trade it for anything in the world? No,
That's real.
no.
Man, that's a man. This is good. I'm happy I came back today, Ben. I appreciate you.
man, yeah, yeah, you hate to rank episodes, right? Because they like your kids, you know what I'm saying? But this
Okay.
was a really, really good dialogue, great conversation, great nuggets, so authentic and humbling. You know what I'm saying? You just sharing your story, um, sharing your testimony. Um, they say you can't have a testimony without a test, so you
That's
definitely
right.
that for
Tell the
sure.
people, give the people the address. Give the people the address. So
Yeah, so we're located again in the Petworth area. We are at 851 Upshur Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. And again, we're on the cornerstone, so you can't miss us. We're like literally right there on the corner.
that's real.
Uptown, uptown. You heard
Your
it
uptown
first.
Florist.
Yeah, Uptown Florist.
Man,
Yeah, yeah. Give them the Instagram, give them the website,
Okay.
give them all the information where they can
Yeah.
find you. They can get a beautiful bouquet. They can get some good service. Matter of fact, let's rewind. Let's rewind
Okay.
quick. You also got another space around the corner that you do certain engagements at too. Talk about that space. 'Cause let me
Yeah.
let me
So
forget about that because that's still part of the conglomerate that you're building on the corner.
Yeah, so the space is used for classes. When we talked about the small businesses and allowing them to put their products on the shelves, we use that space for that. So it's like, and we also had to get the plants there, like indoor, outdoor plants. So it was just like an extension, because when you see our space is kind of, it's like boutique style, right? So we needed a little bit more space to be able to do a little bit more. If we don't take things outside, most of the time we take everything outside and amplify the
Mhm.
corner. But yeah, so I just, whatever opportunity I see that come my way, if it makes sense, and it looks like something that I could benefit from, or and I can offer to the community, then I definitely entertain it.
The vision that I had in my mind when I walked up to the shop the first time, and then I saw the bookstore, and I saw it's like playing Monopoly, right? And you know
Okay.
when everybody you see somebody got all their hotels on that corner and you dreading come around that corner, you're not gonna come around that corner on Upshur Street and not feel some form of who you are on that corner.
Wow.
You literally set up shop and built community on that corner. So like that's you.
Thank you.
So yeah,
I
no,
received that. Thank you.
no, 100%. Again, I'm literally as I'm walking up and I went to because your son was in the other space, um, and it was just me and him in there by ourselves. Like, oh man, who's this kid right here? Let me come out of here. I don't want no problems. But I was just like, man, and then you collaborate with the business to your left, the business to your right. You got good food there, so it's literally. Then you got that other chicken spot right there. So it's it's a beautiful corner. So
Wow. Thank
again,
you.
let everybody know the Instagram, the Facebook, all the handles where they can get
They
blessed.
can find me. Okay, so again, address Petworth area, 851 Upshur Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. Instagram is Your Uptown Florist, or you can just type in Flowers by Alexis, and Alexis is Alexes. It has two E's. We're on Facebook, Flowers by Alexis. We're on TikTok, Flowers by Alexis. Um, and if you want to reach out to us, you can email us at flowersbyalexis@gmail.com. Oh, lastly, the website www.flowersbyalexis.com.
That's real, man. And fellas, make sure you go and you go get the custom
Yes,
arrangements. You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes. Get you out the doghouse for sure.
Yeah, man. You know the grocery store. My wife told me the grocery store flowers. You know those are nice, but they grocery store flowers. You got to get. I said, oh, I said, nah, I get it. Nah, I get. Nah, she got to get the.
Yep, we have subscriptions. That's a plug. We got subscriptions. You can customize them any way you want, how often you want. We even do house plants. You can get them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. You pick your own flowers that you want to go into the subscription. So yeah, we do all of that.
Man,
I don't
And
know.
we deliver. We deliver to the DMV area.
gotta get them that subscription, man. Get that subscription, shot.
I don't know if I should be saying this. A lot of these smaller boutique spots will jack up the prices on stuff too, and you paying an arm and a leg for what you would regularly get. These joints are very, very reasonably priced. As someone
Yes.
who gets flowers on the regular, I was like, "Oh, word? Oh, bet, yeah." But yeah, I'm probably gonna give me a subscription soon too. So
Okay.
That's real, man.
That's what's up. Well, thank y'all so much for having me. This was what's up. I
Thanks,
really appreciate the opportunity.
thanks for allowing us to interview you. We appreciate that, and so many gems, so much inspiration from this podcast, man. So, to people, now, take the seed, take the seed, man, and let that plant grow, man. Let that flower grow, man.
Thank you so much.
yeah.
All right.
Me and Case, the 2 of 12 Black Men, part of the Extraordinary Investment Group. Again, doing what we can in the community to positively affect everything through education and smart financial strategies. Alexis, thank you.
You're most welcome.
For everybody, appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all will see this episode real soon.
For sure, man. Y'all be good.
On the next episode, y'all be extraordinary. All right?
Okay. All right. Bye bye. Good night.